All right, here it is. This is the time that I'm going to be giving you guys the dream that I had on the 22nd of November. And I gave you a little hint on my Instagram with the freedom shirt that Charlie wore when he was assassinated. So if you have any indication, obviously, this is going to be talking about Charlie Kirk. Per usual, I'm going to be reading you the dream and then going over it with you. So we're going to start there. And let me just say this first before I even get started. I am not hyper fixated on all things Charlie Kirk. I know a lot of times when people have dreams about certain things, they're like, oh, it's because you watched that movie or because you've been looking at that on social media, which granted, sometimes it is that. But that was not the case here at all. If anything, I have been trying to steer away from those kind of topics simply because if you are someone who is very sensitive in the spirit, those kind of topics are like extremely overwhelming emotionally and spiritually. And so I can only handle so much before I'm like, all right, I need a break. And like the conversations just get too much, and I don't know. I get spiritually and emotionally and just like overwhelmingly, like I don't know, I can't think of the words. I'm just overcome by so much that it's just too much. So the fact that I even had this dream shocked me. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to read the dream and then I'm going to go over it with you. On November the 22nd of 2025, I had a dream where I was the one who killed Charlie Kirk. In the dream, I was his cousin. Everything in this dream was related to me. The family members I saw were all of my actual family members. People who weren't related to me, I either knew them personally or knew of them that were there in this scene. In the dream, I had stabbed Charlie in the back 3 times. I never saw it happen, but I saw the aftermath. Myself and another cousin knew about this. Now, this cousin, his name is Darren. He's my actual cousin. And I made sure to make note in here because I felt like this was really important. He was in the Marines previously and now is a police officer. Let's continue. The cousin Darren, he helped me hide the evidence. In the dream, I was known to possibly lose my temper easily. However, to the outside world, I was far from that. They never saw that side of me, but my family and those close to me knew that I could lose my temper. And it was almost like this sense of like easily angered. In the dream, I had the white freedom shirt on that Charlie Kirk was actually assassinated in. After I killed Charlie, I began to harm myself. I actually used the same knife and cut my own back 3 times. Like I tried to stab myself, but I didn't go deep enough. I know it's a little much, I'm sorry, but I'm just reading you what happened in the dream. I did this whole action of harming myself in the bathroom of my cousin's house, Darren, that I mentioned earlier. I had him hide the white shirt and the knife. Somewhere in that transition, my cousin became someone else that I know named John Turner. Now, if he ever sees this, he's probably gonna flip. But he's someone that used to come to our church. He too has been in the military. He was actually in the National Guard. I think he's still enlisted in the National Guard. He was now my cousin. Like they were the same person within the dream. It just transitioned once I was actually at the house in the bathroom, using the bathroom to like clean myself up. That's when that transition happened. All right, so let's continue. My back actually healed extremely fast while I was in the bathroom. I cleaned myself up and I was getting dressed when my cousin's roommates came home. It was like he lived in a frat house. I began to panic a bit, not knowing where my cousin had hid the shirt and knife. Like at the time frame, it was just me and him at the house, and then all these people came, and then I started to panic thinking, where did he put that? Did he actually put it away, or did he just like set it aside? I rushed to finish getting ready and walked out of the bathroom, immediately being hit on by the guys. They were flirting. They were doing all these pickup lines and all this different stuff. Typical what you would imagine a frat house would be like, I guess. I was feeling uncomfortable around all of them, as well as being panicked about the shirt and the knife, wondering where they were. I was asking around, trying to find my cousin. And at this time, my family members, my aunts and uncles on both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side, were there, and they showed up. Now, I was embarrassed and ashamed of what I did to Charlie even more, because one of those sets of aunts and uncles were the parents of Charlie. How could I have done this to any of them? It was a very extreme guilt had set in. The dream shifted then to where I was now in a car with one of the frat boys from the house and a few other people. But I remember one of them being specifically from the frat house and being one of the boys that were like trying to flirt and hit on me at that time. So now at this point, I'm in the car, and I had gotten my cousin, somewhere along the line, I had gotten in contact with that person, my cousin, and received the shirt and knife back from him. I knew it had my fingerprints all over the knife, and I had to get rid of the evidence. At this point, it was a matter of, okay, I'm going to take care of my problem now. It was either turn myself in or explain that I did it because I got angry and the voices told me to do it. Like I was possessed or led by some voices that demanded that I did it. And if I did that, then I would explain that I really didn't want to hurt him, or I would just hide everything and just move on with life. So you can imagine when I woke up, I was like, I have to write this down. There was just way too much detail, too many underlined meanings of twist of words or people's names. And so if you've been watching any of my Instagram stories of me talking about like dividing this all up and really trying to get an understanding, as I read, I'm always constantly talking to the Lord and getting this yes or no from him of like, is this what this is, Lord? And if I feel a green light, go ahead, then I'll write down a note to that. If not, then I'll just nix that idea and then ask the Lord, well, then what is it? Is it this instead? And so, just kind of have this conversation, play out with the Lord and gather information. So I asked the Lord what approach I needed to take to this. And so what I did is I obviously went through, like I always do, underline things, write notes as the Lord gives me information. And then I really felt like I needed to take very specific information concerning certain players that were represented in the dream and write whatever was being said about them in the dream and then whatever extra things God gave me about that. So I'm first going to start off with the information on the killer, okay? So as I do this, the whole time I'm asking you all to be praying anyways, but for discernment. And I don't know why I got this dream. I'm just going to be flat out honest. I don't know why I got it, but I'm just sharing it. I'm being obedient and let the Lord do with it what needs to be done. So let's talk about the killer. The killer is the point of view that I had. Was I actually the one? Absolutely not. I could never do something like that. That's just new. That's gross. But besides that, I was given the perspective of the killer. And these are the things that I wrote down about the killer. The killer was a cousin, closely related or close to, like family, to Charlie Kirk. This person stabbed Charlie 3 times, and I wrote as an extra note, the word that came to me when it being stabbed in the back was betrayal. So they betrayed them 3 times. You think of the 3 times being stabbed, that's 3 times over of being betrayed. Another thing about the killer is that they worked with another cousin to help hide everything. So they had someone close to them, also in a close relation, that essentially helped aid and abet the whole process, right? The killer hid the shirt and the knife. They had a white freedom shirt on, just like Charlie did, which to me could mean that they either supported the TPUSA or worked closely with that organization, or just in approval or support of Charlie in general. They healed quickly from harming themselves. Now, I found that truly interesting, which I will go into more in just a minute. Another thing that stood out to me is that the killer found relief in the cousin's bathroom. A bathroom is usually a place where you go to either clean yourself in a shower or relieve yourself in the bathroom, in the toilet. So a bathroom to me is usually an indication of a relief or a cleansing. So they went to this other person to receive that after what they just did. Getting hit on by the frat boys. And what I heard in my spirit when I was reading that and asking the Lord what it meant, because it seemed like an odd extra thing in there, right? I mean, obviously I am a female, so that would make sense. We don't know who the killer actually was. Could have been a male. But either way, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense, like to put it in literal terms. But I understood it to mean like getting hit up or getting called. So essentially getting called by the frats. So essentially getting hit on is getting hit up, like getting called, getting a response from the frat boys, which I also have more information on that too, as far as the frat boys. Obviously, there's so many different ways. This one just came in my spirit. You can literally look at it as college, because he went to college campuses. But I also understood that to be the first thing that came to my mind with frats were secret societies. So it could very well be a mixture. I mean, like there's so much information, guys. It's like I have a hard time relaying this information. Like a lot of times it makes sense to me, or there's like multiple layers of what things can mean. So I hope you're tracking with me here. A few more things on the killer. They debated whether or not to turn themselves in or just hide everything. And that was never a really clear indication of what they chose to do. That was the cliffhanger at the end. Also, this person gets angry easily, but most don't know it. That was a very key part that I knew I needed to include when I was typing things out in my notes, when I was writing down the dream, that the killer is someone who is easily triggered, but to everyone else, they look like just a normal, run-of-the-mill kind of person. But those that are close to them know that there are certain things that just make them just fume. And I also put question mark where are they possessed? Do they have demons? Because they said that they heard voices. But it also could be a group of people, which I feel this might be it, a group of people speaking to them. Now, another key player in this is the cousin. The one that helps aid and abet, the one who is an accomplice, right? Now, the person changed in the middle of this. So at first, it was my cousin Darren, my literal cousin, who I know to be a representation of, I looked up his name too, because sometimes the Lord hides information in people's names, which is with the second person here. But with him, my cousin Darren's name, there was just nothing that stood out or that was like a yes in my spirit. So I knew it to be a matter of comparing it to what he is associated with, which is the Marines and the police force, because he has been in both. And then the second person, which it morphed into, was John Turner, and his last name immediately Turning Point USA. So with the changing of the person, I know it to be a matter of they are literally the same They are two in one. They are the same person. So you have the military, the police force, the National Guard, and the fact that John's name, his last name is Turner, and I immediately knew that that meant Turning Point USA. So you have military branches and Turning Point USA that are aiding and abetting the killer, which is crazy to me. But that's what the dream is saying. I am not accusing anybody. I just want that to be a huge disclaimer. Not either way you want to look at it. I am not blaming anybody. I am just simply sharing what I had in the dream and let the Lord reveal what it needs to reveal. So that's the main stuff. Excuse me, the main stuff with the cousin. Let's also talk about what they did. They helped hide evidence. They literally gave the killer a refuge place, a place to rest, a place to gather their thoughts, a place to clean up, right? They were quite essentially an accomplice because they knew what the killer did, yet they helped hide the evidence, and then they also provided a refuge, a place of fortress for them to chill out and hide. And they lived at a frat house, which was a secret society. Also could be the college aspect of it too, which, okay, I'm about to get into this, and it's just, I'm telling you guys, it's so much deeper than I can even explain. So one of the biggest notes that I wrote down is that the cousin who helped hide evidence connected the killer with the frat house or the secret society. So there's some kind of connection there where there is a group of people that have been connected to the killer to help them some way in shape or form, because the killer ended up going on a car ride, a journey, a pathway, a destiny, a destination. They drove with them to where? I don't know. But in the car, they were making this decision. Do I hide the evidence or do I fess up? And so that's where it all left off at the end. All right, so let's talk about something else. One of the other things that stood out to me was the fact that I had aunts and uncles that came as well. And I could not get that off of my brain as I was going through things. And I thought, why are they significant? Why were they even talked about? So I wrote down a note here, if I can find it, that the aunts and uncles on both sides of the killer's family, I wondered if they were either nations or just allies in general. And then, of course, I wrote some prospects of my question marking, number one being Israel, and just wondering if that is the aunts and uncles or not, because I'm just not sure on that one yet. And see, here's the thing. I don't know, because I'm not in close relation to anybody in the Charlie Kirk circle. But I don't know anyone personally to be like, oh yeah, it could be this person, could be that person. I don't know. I am just giving you what I have been given in the dream. And I just want the Lord to receive glory for the fact that He reveals truth in all things. And whoever receives this information, that it goes into the hands of the people that need it, and that my family and myself be protected in Jesus' name, covered by the blood, and no harm come to us in Jesus' name at all, in any way, shape, or form, in Jesus' mighty name. I gotta pray that. So as far as who the cousin is who helped aid and abet, I don't know. But I tossed around some ideas, and this is not set in stone. This is not the Lord told me kind of a thing. This is just me making assumptions. I wrote different names like the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. I was trying to think of people who may have been like closely related. I'm talking about like organizations or people that may have just been close to Charlie. It quite literally could be people within the organization at TPUSA. I also wrote down, could be another country or a nation. Could be Candace Owens. Could be Michael Knowles. I don't know. I don't know any of these people personally, and I'm just throwing it out there. And I'm not making claims that these people did anything. I'm just saying this is kind of where my brain went and put question marks with it. I don't know if this helped anybody. Quite frankly, I don't know if this just caused more chaos or more questions or whatever with inside your brain. But hopefully, if anything, first and foremost, I want you to understand that God speaks through dreams, that God cares enough about things to give us insight and knowledge, wisdom, discernment, and understanding, which is what I continuously pray. And just like any other dream, I am sure that I will get more aha moments from the Lord to help put more pieces together with this. Or He might give the information to somebody else and I come across the video that helps put pieces together. And what good is it going to do me? Absolutely nothing. I promise you, there's nothing that I can do to help this situation whatsoever. But I know I got the dream for a reason, and I don't know or understand that reason other than to dissect it, go through it, pray about it, ask for the Lord's insight because He's the one who gave it to me. Who better to go to than the one who gave you the information to know what the information means? And from that point on, just be obedient, release what I know, and let the Lord have His way. So yeah, if you have any insight that the Lord gives you or pieces to the puzzle or whatever, you can drop it in the comment section and I will look at it, pray about it, and let the Lord lead in that aspect. But overall, I pray that whoever did the deed of killing Charlie Kirk gets found, and that all the people who are in all the pieces, that the Lord brings justice in the whole situation.